Good afternoon and welcome. Listening live to Heart, the program which aims to help you understand and to become your loving self. I'm Dr. Mitra Rashidian. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist and a certified sexologist in full-time private practice located in Encino, California. And I'm here today along with my business partner, colleague, wonderful dear friend and mentor of almost 18 years.
Wow.
Almost 18 years.
Almost.
Yes, Dr. Robert Javi, who's also a psychotherapist and a certified hypnotherapist. We're here for you every Thursday afternoon at 4 p.m. And we offer a variety of programs about sexual health care, trauma, addictions, relationships, and codependency. And we have products to offer you. And this program is also for you. So we would like for you to join us. That's an open invitation. Any way that you like to join us. We are calling us live, which is 951-922-3532. That's 951-922-3532. Or call us on the numbers that you see on the screen, or email us, whichever you prefer. However, when audience hear your story, they can also benefit from that. So we don't know how we can change somebody else's life in a good way by sharing our story. So welcome, and Dr. Jaffe, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for that wonderful introduction.
My pleasure,
wonderful,
as always.
I want to say wonderful and thorough introduction. You covered everything very well.
Thank you.
And yes, we're here today. We're going to introduce something that we've been working on for a couple of years, probably close to 3 years now,
yes.
Going on 3 years, right?
Not quite.
2 years.
Yes.
2 years, going into our third year. And that is the book that we have been working on, which is not quite ready for publication yet, but we are continuing to work on it. And we thought that today we would introduce the concept and talk about some of what we're writing about with our listeners.
Exactly. And before we go to that, I'd like to also point out that we are celebrating different holidays.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
We are.
And this is December is always a month that everywhere that you look, you see something going on, something joyful going on.
Mm-hmm.
People get together, people go shopping. Have you been to shopping malls lately? Oh my God, I guess we want to make up for last year's COVID shopping, right?
Yeah.
And so in one way, I'm glad to see businesses are up and running and they are functioning again. There was a time that when I was walking on the street last year, it was like I was walking into a twilight zone kind of a thing. There was nobody there on the streets. And it was kind of, frightening to me. And I said, oh my God, what's happening here? And I was witnessing that the stores, they were closed down, or they were, put up, the leases were, available. And it was like all that activities, all that joyfulness, everything was suddenly gone, and I'm so delighted to see that they are coming back, one after another. Yes, we have rules and restrictions. Yes, we have to be careful about how we interact with each other. And that is totally necessary to do that.
It's very necessary, so we're encouraging everybody to get out and drop till you drop.
Yeah.
Or shop till you drop.
Shop until you
shop
drop.
Till you
yes.
drop, not drop till you drop.
Shop I was wondering, is that something I don't know about? Then again, English is my second language, and I don't know everything.
Shop till you drop, and get out and support your local businesses, right?
Yes, whatever they are, stop at the shop that you haven't tried before, or show up, just show up, because we all need each other's help. We all need support so that we can come back and shine and flourish and have a joyful life like we used to have before before COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And even though we see that COVID has its cousins joining it,
Mm-hmm.
they have variety of COVID formations happening, and it's dangerous, it's scary, so but we can all work together so that we can overcome this difficult time and be able to celebrate the holidays to the best that we wanted to celebrate it.
Correct.
Right. So it's still social distancing, still wearing mask, but it's all for a good cause, and it's limited. It's just as soon as we get over these situations, we don't have to do that. But it's a good thing. It's a blessing that we can do it. So. And also, I like to point out that we have lost many lives, and they're not going to be with us this holiday season. They are all missed, and that's the price that unfortunately we had to pay for COVID. But
Yeah, very, very unfortunate and very sad
yeah,
for of course, the people who lost their lives, and very sad for those people who were close to them.
yes.
Yes.
So we wish you all well and blessings during this holiday season, and hope that you can enjoy it to the best that's possible.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. So our book that we have decided to not only talk about the usual topics that we have talked so far, that we are at a place where we can start to talk about our book and introduce it. And also, one of the main purpose of this is not advertising about our book, but actually we want your feedback. We want to know, what do you hear us saying that's appealing? What do you hearing us say that's not appealing to you? And also, what do you want us to include in it?
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Because we may have simply, overlook an area that's very important to you, and it's not necessarily everything we say, is accurate. We do our very best to give you accurate information, but we may have overlooked something, or because we don't know about your experience, we may not have captured the essence of what we have said.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important for you to join us, and that's what we are requesting. Our request is for you to give us feedback about what we are discussing here that is related to our book, and we are at the revision part of it, and that's why it's important for us to get feedback from you, people that have been listening, have been supporting us, have been following us, and also we appreciate that, of course, and we look for more of the same.
Yes. So, and you can give us feedback by calling into the show. Again, the number is 951-922-3532. You can also email us on our Facebook or radio show page.
Yes.
Right.
Right. Exactly. So, what we have been doing, we have focused on what do we primarily hear in our sessions with couples. And one of the first things that we hear when a new couple comes in, or the existing couples come in, and they say, my wife, my partner always complains that they have a headache and they refuse to have sex.
It's very common.
Yes.
And therefore, we've come up with a title that reflects that.
Exactly. Not tonight, honey, I have a headache.
That's the title of our new book.
Why women say that, and what to do, how to best respond to that.
Right. So, and not tonight, honey, I have a headache is it is kind of a cute title, but also an accurate title, because what we have a lot of times is hurt feelings,
Mm-hmm.
miscommunication, lack of emotional as well as physical and sexual intimacy, and unhappy relationships.
Right. Now, a colleague of mine told me that years ago, years ago, that somebody else came up with the same title and wrote a book about it.
Okay.
And she couldn't tell me who that person was.
Okay.
And I looked it up and I couldn't find out who that person was. Okay.
Oh, did you find the book?
I didn't find the book.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
So if anybody knows about a book with the same title, please let us know.
Sure. Absolutely.
But then again, ours has a subtitle that separates that. It's like saying there are thousands and thousands and thousands of books about depression out there, that the title of book is Depression.
Right.
Right. So, but the authors are different, the perspective and the approach and the philosophy of the book and how it is presented, written is different. So there may be similarity, there may be actually a similar one, but the content definitely are not the same.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, talking about sexuality has been, in many cultures, including our own culture, something that is difficult to do. A lot of humor and jokes are made about sexuality, but having serious talks about sexuality, while it's not unknown in our culture, has only really been coming out for the last maybe 20 years or so, where people actually come out and, like Dr. Ruth Westheimer and other people will talk openly about sexual health care and sexuality. However, what we need to understand is that in many cultures, that is still a very taboo topic.
Yes.
And in our culture, although it's less of a taboo topic, there's still a lot of misinformation.
Yes.
And so we've written this book to help people understand more specifically what's going on inside of human beings when they have desire to have sex, or they don't have the desire to have sex and they're in a relationship, and how do you communicate on that delicate subject? It is a delicate subject. How do you communicate in a way that isn't going to be harmful to the relationship, but actually can bring the relationship closer?
Exactly. And when we talk about, our culture and different cultures, uh, it's really important to notice that actually USA is a diverse, has a diverse culture. So it's not ours per se versus them. In particular, for example, California has such a diverse population that it's so blended that and that's why we see in therapy variety of different perspectives, philosophy, desires, wants, anything so different from one couple to the next couple. So that means that among those that they live here in the US, whether they are from mainstream culture or they are from different culture, it has become so blended that maybe we have, it's a multicultural dimension, and we need to focus on how everybody brings a different perspective about their sexuality into their relationship, especially when we have so many blended families.
Correct.
Right.
So we just got notified that we're going to take a short commercial break, and we would love to hear from you. You don't have to even identify your name if you don't want to, but we'd love to hear your comments, questions, and observations about this topic. So please give us a call during the next hour up until 4 o'clock.
Yes, 951-922-3532.
Talk to you soon.
Welcome back to this commercial. This is our program at KMET 1490 AM ABC Radio Norris. Mitra and Dr. Roberts here. For those of you just joining us, we are talking about basically introducing our new book, which is still in the process of being edited and revisions. And the reason that we are introducing it now because we would like to have your feedback about it as you're listening to the highlights of the book. If you feel that's something that you wish that we would have included, so please let us know, right? And because after all, this book is for you, and it's written so that it can help you with your relationship, intimate relationship. And please call us at 951 or if you wish, you can contact us via email. The numbers that you are seeing on the screen right now, they are all contact information, and whichever is more comfortable to you, please use that. And your stories are so important to us, and thank you for giving us your hour because we know you have many other choices, but thank you for choosing us and thank you for following up with us. So the title of the book is Not Tonight, Honey, I Have a Headache. And why women say that?
Why women say
Why
that?
women say that? Why is this the easiest way of getting out of a sexual relationship, a sexual contact, or avoiding having sex with a husband, a partner? What causes that?
Yeah, and so of course, in our book we talk a lot about the various reasons
Yes.
why a person, a woman, would say that.
We have 8 chapters on that. So as you can see, it's extensive. Extensive. Thank you. I lost the word.
Okay. All right.
It's a very extensive book. It's a very detailed book. We have gone into, significant details about what involves in sexuality, sexual relationships, philosophy, ideology, so level of comfort. I mean, you name it, And our aim is to help, couples primarily, we see this struggle among like age 25 to 55, right? And, that but they want the intimacy and they are intimate with each other, they love each other, but what's really the main struggle is they don't know about their sexual self, they don't know what exactly is involved in their sexuality. Having a joyful sexual relationship is different than responding to sex, impulsively responding to the desire of having sex. And also we grow up not becoming uh, uh, like educated directly about sex and sexuality.
Most of us, yes.
Most of us.
That's true.
We just learn about sex and sexuality from media, from friends who don't know more than we do, and definitely not from parents, and most definitely not from experts and healthcare professionals.
Well, we learn about it from peers often,
Right. Yes.
In our teens. And of course, our peers have their own belief systems.
Right.
So, but yeah, when we say, okay, not tonight, honey, I have a headache, one of my colleagues, a female colleague, actually said, I don't know why women say that because sex is actually good for a headache.
Right.
And she told me that, and I laughed. But ahead, when we say it, we're saying it that women say that, and sometimes they, of course, there's reality to it. They have a headache or they're not in the mood, which is fine, but they're using headache as a metaphor, right? And of course, that's what we talk about a lot in the book is how people use the headache as a metaphor for I don't want to.
Right.
But then, of course, that begs the question of why do they need a metaphor for it? Why don't they just say I don't want to, or I'm not in the mood, or whatever reason it is that's the actual reason.
Yes.
And of course, there are a lot of reasons why people don't say that, right? And we get into that.
Exactly. So, headache, like you said, is a safe metaphor.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that's not tangible,
Mm-hmm.
something that is not experienced by the partner,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's
Mm-hmm.
something that, it's like a stop sign. Okay, she has a headache, and therefore I'm not gonna go for it,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's something it's a safe alibi, even though at times it can be true, and we respect that. Uh, but when it becomes frequent, and it bears the question of why women say that, why they go you know under the safety of, I have a headache. And so many things opens up when we look at it in therapy. So headache, number one, it can be, a safety zone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that even when I say I have a headache, I'm no longer approached for sex and no longer harmed.
No longer what?
Harmed.
Harmed.
Yeah.
What do you mean harmed?
So, if they are, we have seen that there are so many domestic violence, right? They are the fear of having sex. They are, the discomfort of having sex. They are the communication aspect of, I don't like the way sex is happening, and I don't know how to say what I want, right?
Mm-hmm.
There is lack of awareness about, who am I as a sexual being, and why am I not enjoying the sexual relationship, but I don't know how to express it. I don't know how to identify the areas that they are problematic for me.
Right. Right.
Right.
So.
So we're looking at, the matter of who am I as a sexual being? What do I know about my sexual self? Because if we don't know about that, right, how can we participate in a healthy sexual activity?
So I'm sure a lot of our listeners are saying, well, I know who I am as a sexual being.
Yes.
I know that I'm sexual.
Okay.
I know what kind of activities I like sexually. What else is there for me to know? And I'm sure that that's what they're thinking when you say they don't know who they are as a sexual being. And so, what would you say to that?
Well, sexuality, you know, as human beings, we know that, how to respond to our hunger. We know how to respond to our breathing. Some of our senses do take care of us naturally without us even being aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. uh, when we want to eat something, we look at the ingredients, we look at what our taste bud, we look at what we like, what we don't like, and we are able to say it safely.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like cheese, or I don't like tomato, or I don't like pickle. I like, mustard. I like something else. And then we pick and choose, and we, create what's really delicious and tasteful to us, and what's comfortable to us.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's because we have had the option of, choosing and picking and replacing and, resisting, and it's been safe to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So we get into the area of comfort about, selecting our meals, selecting what we want to eat. So part of that has to do with the education that we have received across the years as we grow up, right? From day one, we receive education, information, choices about what to eat. So we become very comfortable to talk about it. Whereas about sexuality, from the day we are born, there are messages about the do's and don'ts, and those are the cultural messages that we receive about how a woman should behave sexually, how a man should behave sexually, how these two need to come together. And of course, you talk about the taboo aspect of sexuality at the beginning of the program, right? And we know that, we are living in a diverse community, diverse nation. And everybody has, as a result of their upbringing, we develop different viewpoints about ourselves as a being, and also our sexuality becomes impacted by that. How we have a relationship with our parents, our caregiver, help us to look at ourselves as who we are as a person, right? How much do I believe in myself? How much do I, care about myself? How much can I value my wants and desires? And if I am able actually to know my wants and desires, right? How do I interact with people as a result of all of this, right? So these are all in so many ways what they are giving us life skills and awareness about ourselves. They are actually also teaching us about ourselves as a sexual being. Sexuality is a part of us since birth.
Yes, yes. And as we've mentioned before, the latest research says that we are born sexual beings, and actually they've measured or they've been able to see in utero little boys having erections before they're born, and been able to measure lubrication in little baby girls as early as a couple of days old.
Exactly. And and likewise, we see that some of the condition called, for example, premature ejaculations in men, it doesn't really have an organic or physical cause, but it is all about the old beliefs that they have, and the beliefs shaped, as a result of mother and son interaction with each other, right? So, and then that comes into the relationship, and then that continues to shape itself in form of enactment about women, and then it can, manifest itself in sexual relationship as, premature ejaculation. I mean, there is so much more into that. I'm just giving you a very fast forward course here. It's not really the way I'm discussing it, is just a very, very minor basic synopsis of that. So with female, how a female looks at herself as a being, as her role that she has learned about herself in society, and how to respond to a partner, and also to understand herself in terms of her sexuality. It's not as easy as copying a sexual act from a TV or a movie, or reading a book, or looking at porn or anything like that. Or yes, some of the sexual activity happens due to just a natural cause that it just impulsively or naturally happens. We get that. But to feel good about oneself in a sexual relationship, to feel safe, to feel responsive, to be joyful, to join your partner, takes a whole lot more. And when women use the metaphor of I have a headache, it's not actually just one person say I have a headache. It's because that's a result of a joint experience that a female has with her partner.
Yeah, so I want to say, so when the woman says, "Not tonight, honey, I have a headache," there's two possible things happening for her to say that. One is that she, aside from the fact that she might actually have a headache, but the two things I'm talking about are, one, she knows that she doesn't want to engage in sexual activity, and knows why. The other is she knows that she doesn't want to engage in sexual activity and doesn't know why. And so when we're talking about sexual self-awareness, we're saying that if the woman knows that she doesn't want to and doesn't know why, then she has to come up with a metaphor that will be acceptable to her partner.
Right.
Without saying why, because she really doesn't know why. She just has this feeling inside that says, no, I don't want to. And so she has to figure out a way of expressing that in a way, as you call, safe, so that she doesn't anger her partner, or get involved in a discussion where she may feel at a lack because she really doesn't understand why, and so she doesn't want to open up that can of worms. So she just uses the metaphor to say, I want out. And so, if the woman does know why, she still may not want to say why, and that opens up another can of worms. Why would, if she actually knows why? Let's say another. There's a different reason. Let's say she's annoyed with with her her partner for some reason, but then she doesn't want to bring up the annoyance, right? So then we're talking about more intimacy issues, because when you're annoyed with somebody and you don't want to talk about it, then it comes out through your behavior. One behavior of which is to tell the other person you're not going to have sex with them.
And in some ways, it may be all related to an internal, chronic, old belief about the experiences of fear.
Well, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So let's come back to this after our commercial break, and we look forward to hearing from you. Please call us 951 922 3532. Thank you. Come back from our commercial break. Dr. Mitra and Dr. Robert here at KMET 1490 AM, ABC News Radio Live. We are talking about our upcoming book, Not Tonight, Honey, I Have a Headache, which is a metaphor for avoiding having sex. We invited you to please call us at 951 922 3532 to give us your feedback. And of course, we will be talking about this book for a while, and among with other things, of course. And if you don't feel like responding right now, we understand. I mean, this is a very sensitive topic, even though that your story can help thousands of other people sharing similar difficulties. And we do encourage you to please join us. You may also contact us via our private information, and they are appearing on the screen right now. And please choose the one that best makes you feel comfortable and supported. So, Dr. Jaffe, you were talking about women. Either they know why they don't want to have sex and they say, I have a headache, or they don't know why they don't want to have sex and they say, I have a headache.
Right, right. And what I was saying is, okay, option B is if they don't know and they say they have a headache, then it's pretty obvious that they don't want to say, I don't want to have sex, because the logical question from their partner is, why not, right? And so if they don't, and so I want to say to the audience, well, what because the audience may be thinking, well, what do you mean they don't know why? And that has to do, I think, with a lot of cultural inhibitions that are put upon women to not be as in touch with their sexual desire. Men are given much, much more permission to be in touch with their sexual desire than women have throughout almost all cultures. Women are taught to be demure. Women are taught to repress their outward sexuality. Women are taught to hide their sexuality, and women basically are taught to be modest, to not flaunt their bodies. Of course, there are a lot of women who rebel against that. And
so I want to jump in here.
Okay.
So when you talk about women being modest, so it is as though if they talk about their sexuality, they're no longer modest.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Because to talk about what sexuality is to say, I am a sexual person.
Right.
And modesty says I'm not supposed to be a sexual person, or I'm only supposed to be a sexual person under certain unique circumstances.
Exactly.
like
Yes.
if I'm married and if I'm in love,
Yeah.
and and in some religions only for the purpose of procreation.
Exactly. Yes.
So anything else is not being modest or not being proper. Now, of course, we're talking about, we're going into 2022. Things have changed a lot, especially in the United States with respect to this. We're writing this book for everyone. So even though you may be living in the United States, you may be a first generation or second generation person from another country or another culture. We're inclusive of that in our book. But also, even in the U.S., like I said, it hasn't been that long before things started to shift. And the shift, in our view, although it's been substantial, it is still sort of at the beginning stage.
Yes. Yes.
So we're writing this to let people know. We're writing this for the benefit of men and women to help them understand the natural evolution of not of sex itself, but of the freedom to be sexual,
Exactly.
especially for women.
Exactly. So when women say, not tonight, honey, I have a headache, we also have considered in our book how that reflects on their partner, right? If they have a male partner, they are in a marriage with that. So we need to understand both sides, that how one contributes to a condition, or how one they both in their interaction end up to either agree with not I have a headache, or just cause an argument, which we see lots of arguments here,
Mm-hmm.
in our sessions, because the woman says I have a headache. uh, when a woman does know and says I have a headache,
Mm-hmm.
right, that's even probably uh, how significant it is very significant, because knowing that what's the problem and not being able to speak about it
Mm-hmm.
says lots of a lot about a person, that how she has been impacted by her upbringing.
Well, yeah. I mean, uh, there's many reasons.
That's one reason of it.
Yeah, her
Yeah.
upbringing, of course. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I would say yes, and also, it when you say upbringing, I think everything is really affected by our upbringing.
Yeah, everything.
Especially how we deal with uncomfortable moments.
Exactly.
Within ourselves and between ourselves and others, and between ourselves and our intimate others.
And what kind of a viewpoint a woman can create about herself that traps her in a mental state of mind, that I know what's bothering me, but I don't feel comfortable to discuss it. I don't want to discuss it. I don't feel safe to discuss it, or I don't know how to discuss it.
Which may have to do with her sexuality, or may
Yeah.
have nothing to do
May
with her
have nothing to
sexuality.
do with her sexuality.
Right.
Yes.
Because the example I was giving before is maybe she's upset with her partner about something totally not sexual, but has a reluctance to bring it up because she doesn't feel safe to say that that's the reason that she doesn't want to be sexual.
Right. However, uh, when this metaphor is used, it's a form of avoiding, getting into possible argument.
Mm-hmm.
It's a form of avoiding looking at oneself's, truthfulness about what's going on.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And the headache, it's kind of, I would say, it's a ubiquitous term.
Mm-hmm.
That covers so many phenomena, uncomfortable phenomena,
Mm-hmm.
so many unknowns, so many questions, so many uh, reasons that have caused a person to get to that point, a female to get to that point. And as a therapist, is not just one area that we look at, but we look at a person's, variety of situations that has, person, a female has a, experience in their life, and how those experiences are impacting her in her, sexual relationship, and how she summarized them all under the metaphor of, I have a headache, so I'm going to avoid this.
Right.
You know.
Right. So I'm going to say then that avoidance is one thing that men and women do when they feel nervous or anxious or fearful about being able to handle a certain situation.
And feeling unsafe.
Well, unsafe is nervous, anxious, and fearful.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So the unsafe thing is I think by talking about this or bringing it up, think I'm going to make things worse, not better, and that's the belief underneath using the metaphor.
Right.
And of course, then that goes into what is so scary about that, and why doesn't the person have the belief that by talking about it, it's going to get better.
And also, there is a level of helplessness and hopelessness. Nothing's going to change. Why should I bring it up?
Right. And when we have that attitude and that belief that things aren't going to change, and or I'm going to make them worse, that affects the level of intimacy, emotional and physical intimacy that the people can experience with each other, which often after a while degenerates into a sort of a distant and oftentimes loveless relationship.
Exactly. Yes. And there are relationships that they remain without sex because of the not feeling safe to talk about what's going on with each other. Right. There are many couples that they do love each other. They want to keep their relationship. They want to stay together. But the fear of what if what I say causes a damage that is deeper, they keeps them silent, and they just go with the metaphor of, I have a headache, or similar metaphors like that. And the other part is it's not always a mental situation. Sometimes women do have physical, complications, whether that's due to a bad pregnancy, whether that's due to fear of, contracting a sexual transmitted infections, or fear of, getting pregnant, or, fear, or experience of pain, or how actually they have been approached to have sex, puts them in a situation that because of the physical discomfort or a fear of getting physically hurt, they also come with that metaphor.
Of course. Right. And that's one reason. It's certainly not the only reason, right, but it's one reason. But again, the issue is, does the woman know why she doesn't want to, or does she not know why?
Right.
And so we address this in the book in terms of what can be done about that. Right. If the woman knows why, but still chooses not to talk about it, then it talks to other areas of the relationship that are not sexual,
right,
that have to do with physical and emotional safety, as you use that word. Right. It's a good word. And and then also, and if she doesn't know why, then that speaks to a lack of education, that she has to understand more about herself, her body, and her sexuality.
Right, and then there's another part that it's a cultural belief that sex is about men, and men have to approach, and men have to do all the work. And even in there are cultures that they believe that a woman first needs to avoid having sex, and then after a few requests, then to say yes to that.
Right. The old adage that when a woman says no, she really means
She
yes.
really means yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, while I know there are, I have seen some couples like that, but I have to say, thankfully, that's been reducing significantly.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right, because it's a very, very confusing
Yes,
message to
yes.
men.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. I mean, in this book, we are talking about, the couple, basically,
Mhm.
and how they each contribute to the metaphor of I have a headache, uh, versus creating a safe environment where both can say who they are as a sexual being, what they want from each other, what are their sexual wants and desires, what's the do's and don'ts for them, what's the level of comfort to talk about their sexuality. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Like I said, we have 8 chapters in this book, and each chapter offers different perspective about what shapes human sexuality in general, and how that all that knowledge and education can manifest itself in the bedroom.
So, one of the chapters that we've written about is the chapter on codependency.
Right.
And codependency is a big one with couples. It affects millions of people, and most people have no idea uh, what codependency is, or whether they struggle with codependency, uh, and whether they're in a codependent relationship. But codependency, and we've talked a lot about it in our previous shows, and we'll continue to talk about it. But codependency basically says, I'm here to please you.
Exactly.
I'm not here to please me,
Right.
and you're here to please me. So if what I'm saying is pleasing you, great, and if what you're saying is pleasing me, great. And so therefore I have to walk on eggshells and kind of guess as to how I have to be in order to please you.
So, unfortunately, we are at the end of our program, and we do invite you to please join us next week at 4 o'clock so we can continue with this, topic. And we thank you for joining us. And don't forget, until then, next Thursday at 4, all you need is love.
All you need is love. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.